Welcome, viewing several, once again to my little series I like to call Hands Up Who Loves a Train Set. Me. So, today I'm going to look at the fourth HO set I've got in my collection. It's this Bachmann American outline Santa Fe Flyer. Now, you may remember, if you've seen any of these before, that I had a look at a very similar set in N gauge, the Highballer, which has got exactly the same locomotive in the same livery, very similar set, same controller, same circle of track, but all in N gauge, and that was a set that was kind of good, but had a few little issues with it, like the tall wagon was top heavy and it wouldn't stay on the track very easily. But we don't have that here. We've got this hopper wagon instead, so I don't anticipate any problems. So just looking at the box, we can see this one you get a circle of track rather than an oval, which in the N gauge one it seemed a little bit disappointing. I think it's less disappointing at this scale. I think because this is a much bigger radius, the circle is fine. I don't think I'm going to add any track to this because it's just a set that I bought for the collection. It's got the same controller. The other difference is it's got these couplings which are like Cady couplings. They're Bachmann's own kind of version of those. Let's see, what does it say they're called? Easy Mate knuckle couplers. They are actually really good. The set itself is a good set. It's the locomotive runs. It's an excellent runner. It's a good weight to it, and the wagons are pretty good. There are some, obviously. It is a set that's aimed at the lower end, perhaps at the younger enthusiast. So it does have plastic wheels and bogies. And the models are quite low detail, just sort of mostly a single piece. But having said that, I think they're pretty decent for what they are. And I'm a train set person, and I just like, what's more important to me is than the detail is that how well they run and how much fun they are to drive around the track. So this particular set, I have to say, is really rather good. So I'm going to show you inside the box. I'm going to show you inside the locomotive because it's a second-hand set, so I did open her up, put a bit of lubrication on and run it on the rolling road before I did the demonstration. And also because this track here is 36-inch circle, it won't fit on this bench here, so rather than put it on a different loop of track that I normally use, I thought we'd take it outside and run it on the table outside, which is a lot bigger and will easily accommodate that circle. So that's what we're going to do. So without further ado, we'll start by moving on to what's inside the box. Right, so the box has got two parts. We've got the locomotive and the wagons here, and we've got the controller and the track in the other part of the box. So this is the Bachmann Easy Track. We've looked at in a previous episode we looked at the N scale version of this. And now we're going to have a look at the HO. I suspect the HO will be a bit better because of its size and sturdiness. It'll probably it'll just probably work better. This is the fourth type of this track with the roadbed that I've looked at. So this is one piece with the sleepers moulded onto the ballast and then the rails inserted. The Pico one is just normal track, and then it's got three screws, countersunk screws that hold it onto the moulded rubbery track bed. So it's really flexible, really good. You can you could take it off that roadbed if you wanted to upgrade it and set it on a board and do your own ballast or whatever. This track you would have to get different track if you wanted to do that with this, but that's fine. This is a train set, and this track is good if you just want to set it up, play with it and put it away again. So one thing I did get is it does come with a US transformer, which is 110 volts US plug, but I found this included, which is the step down transformer, so I can just use it as is. That's brilliant. I've not got one of these. I've never bothered before because I've always managed to find an adapter in a massive drawer full of them that would always work. Some of them have got interchangeable plugs on the end, so you can find the right one, or in some cases you can just snip it and put your own plug on as needs be. But this, I don't know whether this came with it. I know the ones that are sold in Europe usually come with a Euro plug, but they're 230 volts, so you can just use one of those adapter plugs. But because this is 110 volts, you do have to use the step down transformer. Where does it say there? Input 120 volts. Yeah, so that's the kind of US one. And then we've got this step down transformer, puts out 110 volts, so yeah, that's going to work. That's good. Bachmann controller is in here, which is the standard Bachmann controller. It's got the non-slip rubbery feet, it's got direction as a switch, and then just a one-way knob, which I actually prefer to the knobs that go in both directions. I prefer that, because then whichever direction you're in, if you need to slow down, you're going the same way. And I sometimes find, especially if you're playing on a loop of track, you sometimes go, I'll slow down, and you actually speed up. So you change direction, and that's always speed up, and that way is always slow down. So I kind of prefer that on a controller. It just seems more of a more grown-up controller to me. So wagons, right? We've got this gondola, quite nice. All these wagons have these plastic wheels and bogies. They're very, very light. The body itself is just fairly simple, coarse scale moulding, which I like. But there's even to this wagon, there's a decent weight to that. It feels like it's going to stay on the track. So if you think back to the previous video when I had basically the same set of this but in N gauge, we had some problems with some of the wagons being top heavy and too light and not staying on the track. It's got these couplers on it. I'm filming all of this out of order chronologically, so I've probably talked about these from the front of the box, but I may not remember to do so. So these are Bachmann's version of Cady couplers. They're actually rather good, because if you want to do shunting, you can stick a cocktail stick in between and manually uncouple. Among the easiest ones to manually uncouple that I've seen if you want to do shunting and not have automatic decouplers. So that's a bonus. You got your caboose, which sounds like a word Captain Beefheart's made up. I always think of him when I hear the word caboose. Either that or Rocky and Bullwinkle. But there you go. So again, quite a basic model. There's no interior, but this is just a train set. And then you got this one with looks like this can come out. I won't try and take it out now, but a printed coal load, and it's one of these hoppers that the hobos like to go in these bits here. I've seen when they're hopping the trains. And then the Loco is your classic EMD-FT, which is in, I do believe, in the film The Silver Streak with Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor. Great film. And there's a silver one of these in that goes crashing through. No spoilers. Right, so this is a heavy locomotive. It has got a full die-cast chassis. It's all-wheel drive and all-wheel pickup. It's got a cheap-looking motor in the middle, with those two drive shafts to drive the bogies. So I'm going to show you inside it, because I've already took it to bits to lubricate it and check that it works. Because in the past, these second-hand train sets, I've sort of demoed them without first servicing the locomotive, and sometimes it doesn't run as well as it might. So I've decided to do that. So we'll show you that next before we set up the track. So we'll cut to that and have a look inside this and show it running on the rolling road. Then after that we'll see if we can set the track up. So I'm probably going to do that outside, because this is too big to fit on this desk. Right, since this is, I don't know how long this has been not run since, so I've got it, I just got the top off, had a look inside, and did a bit of oiling and got it on the rolling road. So you can see heavy die cast chassis, which is nice. It's got quite a cheap motor, but they're okay, those. It's got all-wheel drive, and it looks like all-wheel pickup, and a front light, so that's pretty good. Give it some juice. It's a bit hesitant to start with, but that's a relatively low speed. We'll go a bit higher, all the way up. Back down. Now we'll go the other way. So on the rolling road it's going quite slow. Whether that'll translate to on track, we'll have to wait and see. There's a bit of a hesitation there. Okay. So I've given it a bit of oil, and hopefully we'll get it on the track and then put it back together and get it on the track. But with some of these older sets, what I probably should have done is probably open the locomotive up and give it some lube before I did the filming. So that's what I've done with this one. Right, there we go. Right, so here we are. The loop's on this table because it's bigger outside, so I don't know what the lighting's going to work like. It's bright sunlight, but we're under the shade, so let's get it going. So yeah, a promising start, this set. It runs very, very well already, nice and smooth, nice and slow. This track is, at this gauge, this track is actually a lot better, it really is easy to put together. The N version I thought was a little bit fiddly and not as easy as it made out. It's pretty flat, but they do warp. One thing I didn't get with this set, I didn't get this red thing, but I've already got one in the N gauge set, and they're the same, luckily. The controller's the same. So whether I bother to get one of these, if they're a few quid, I might order one. If not, I'll just use whichever one, whichever set I'm using, and just borrow it from the other one. So we'll see what kind of speeds you can do. It's a nice brightly coloured set. I like that. Right, we're getting towards 3/4 speed now. Right, that's full tilt. I'm a bit of a stickler. I like a nice slow runner myself. There we go. Coming right down. Yeah, that's nice. I think this scale is better than the N scale version, although the N scale version does look better because the level of the lack of detail, the coarse detailing is more apparent on the larger scale. But you know, if you're not too bothered, that ladder needs to be straightened out by the looks of it, and as does that one. We can do that, that's not a problem. But I think that runs reasonably well, very well actually. Probably go, yeah, that's as slow as it will go. Just about there. But I think that's pretty good. As I say, the mechanism, the Loco body's not that detailed, but the mechanism's pretty decent. It's a solid die-cast chassis, centrally mounted motor, an all-wheel and all-drive, all-wheel pickup, and it's smooth. It's not noisy. Well, it's a bit noisy, but I'm very pleased with that. I think that's it's not the best looking in terms of, it's very toy-like, but often I don't care about that. I just like to run them, and more importantly to me is that controllability. Just back her up to show that works. Also, those couplings are really rather good, so you could use these. So I will give this, I've got some Loco track sidings that I'm going to make for testing shunting, so I'll probably put some of this stuff through its paces on the shunting test layout at some point. I'm going to have a bit of a shunting challenge between various sets and Locos, which will really be more about slow running, coupling and decoupling. So if you're into building, and even if you like shunting, I'm going to be kind of just doing a comparison to see which type of set, scale and gauge and couplings, etc., analog versus digital, all of that, to see which ones shunt. I think this one will be pretty good on that because it does the slow running and it's got excellent couplings, and also the wagons are a decent weight. So what I'm going to do now is, for your Brucie bonus today, I'm going to try out one of my little cameras for the trackside camera, and I'll see if I can get some shots with that.